Good afternoon, welcome. It's Sunday afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on this fine Sunday. The ZMC Business Hour, a business show brought to you by the ZMC Network, a local community channel set up to bring communities together. On the ZMC Business Show, we promise to bring you the very latest in business news from the West Midlands and bring you prominent business people from within the business community who shall come and share their expertise and the experiences with you. Whichever part of the world you are in, whatever medium you are watching us from, we are beaming live on Facebook, on our website, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. There should be a phone number beneath my screen, so feel free to call in live and ask our guests any questions you may have about business. So we promise to bring you prominent people from within the business community. Our guest today is an absolute phenomenal. I would say locally, but I think it's more internationally. She's traveled the world, she's spoken on stages, the US, India, the UK, and she's just done some incredible things. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce everybody to the motivational queen herself, Zoe Bennett. Zoe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Abid Khan.
Thank you for accepting my invite. I know it's Sunday. Thank you for coming. Just before we introduce you, we just want to play a little promo, a little video of exactly what, because you do so many things. So we're just going to play a little video about what you do.
Okay.
You are your greatest asset. Use your voice to help and support others.
Doing as a leader, you have to be strategic in your thinking, strategic in what you're sharing with people. Think ahead for marketing, because we're always saying, oh, it's going to cost us a lot of money to market. It doesn't necessarily have to if you do it smart. So start banking stuff.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that was a little promo of one of the many roles that Zoe Bennett plays. So Zoe, once again, welcome. We're being very professional today. Many of you have seen us on videos doing our shenanigans, but today is a very formal environment. So we're going to have a very serious discussion with Zoe to find out exactly who Zoe is, what her inspiration is, what her motivation is, and all the incredible successes that she's achieved to date, where the inspiration came from. So Zoe, the floor is all yours. Please let the audience know, for those who don't know you, exactly who you are, what you do, and what you're all about.
Okay, so my name is Zoe Bennett, also known as the Motivational Queen, and apparently I inspire confidence and create transformation in other people through the confidence building, through the strategy building, the entrepreneurship, employability, resilience, and all the talking and workshops that I put together and design. So I do many things, as you know, Abid.
Yes.
So from teaching and mentoring young people through to mentoring business people. So I have a partnership deal with NatWest Bank where I have created a program called the 9 Needs Excellence Plan.
Okay.
It's a business foundational program that I've actually delivered into NatWest, and we finished last year's cohort and now we've started again for 2020, and we've got amazing business owners on that. I'm also the founder of the Midlands Business and Community Charity Awards, where we recognise and value unsung heroes that go the extra mile, and we've had some phenomenal individuals awarded there. We had Selene Henry receive an award, also Beverly Knight, Jamelia, the list goes on, and your very own Mr. Nazir Awan, amazing, and Abid Khan here, picking up Network of the Year.
So I mean, I've known you now for about 4 years, I think it's fair to say, and we've done a lot of things together. But I actually Googled you for the first time a couple of days ago when I was doing some research on you, because we kind of speak most days, and we kind of know what each of us are doing. But actually doing some research on someone like you was pretty hard, because there's so many things that that are happening. But what seems very apparent that you are very focused on empowering people. We're very, very focused on supporting growth and supporting people. So where does this all stem from? What's the core of this?
It stems from what you actually read. Now you've seen it in black and white in the Daily Mail and the Mirror and various magazines online, and even television clips on ITV News, you know, and it stems from being treated so terribly. You know, if you Google me, just literally look my name up. And I didn't want anyone else to go through what I've gone through. And also when I'm talking about empowering, you hear people all the time saying, oh, I can't do this, I've got no time for that, oh, it's too hard. So I felt that it's really important not just to tell people what to do, is to show people what to do. Hence why I do so many things, Abid.
You do.
Because
you do.
I'm sick and tired of people using things, situations as an excuse. It's going to always happen. Something's going to happen to somebody in life, whether good, bad or indifferent. It's how you change your mindset and actually have a growth mindset to push yourself through it. Because it's not always about you in this life, and this is where I'm passionate about. It's about our children. It's about our children watching us going through those obstacles or going through those triumphs and seeing how we deal with it. So for me, it has to be a positive that we have to instill.
So talking about children, you as a daughter went through some adversities, some challenges, and we're about to play a little video clip of something that happened with you. I know it's a bit emotional, but we'd just like to touch upon that, and just because I feel that that's where a lot of your energies and your motivation stems from. Prior to that, whatever your life may have been, it seems though from the media and from all the online presence that was the turning point for you. That was the trigger point for you where you changed things, and maybe you realized that you had something inside you which you possibly didn't know before. Would that be fair?
I would have to say that is absolutely correct. You've done your research.
I have done my research. So we're going to play the clip and then we'll come back.
Much freer you feel and more methodical and actually clear focused you are to deal with the situation. So I say this to you all with love.
Although thousands of miles away, Zoe Bennett fears the people that murdered her father may one day come for her. Worse still, that she won't ever see justice. Errol Bennett from Preston was 59 when he was hacked to death at his holiday.
The clip that we just played was an interview you gave after the horrific incident. You just spent a couple of minutes talking about that, and what actually happened there.
Well, in a nutshell, my father, who was the most kindest, generous, community-spirited individual, my hero, my everything, my mentor, who would go out of his way to help somebody, hence where I got my community spirit from. He was on holiday on our holiday home in Jamaica, and the bungled robbery happened, and he was brutally not just murdered but tortured before being murdered. And that's what really inspired me to just push through in life and make every minute, every moment count.
So when that incident happened, I've read that you potentially had death threats.
Yeah, severe death threats.
And you took on the Jamaican government.
Yes.
To find the people who'd done this. How was that?
It was,
and what did that bring out of you that you didn't know you had?
It was challenging. There were so many different things going on at the same time. It wasn't just the murder of my father, it was the case of I used to work for the Jamaican government. So, and I used to be the face of the UK from Scotland down to Northampton, Ireland and Wales. And it wasn't really great for them to have somebody whose father's been murdered saying that Jamaica's safe to go to. So instead of supporting me, they suspended me.
And I read somewhere that this all stemmed from a social media post which you put, I think it was 3 comments you put out.
So I literally wrote, the bastards have killed my father this morning, because I actually didn't know that my father had been murdered. I actually found out via social media. because I came back home and there was just literally lots of missed calls on my phone, and I couldn't get through to anyone. So the simplest thing, because we've got a large family, is for me to go to social media to find out, obviously, from them in private messaging. But when I went to Facebook, there was an actual image of my holiday home in Jamaica with the saying, 59-year-old man bludgeoned to death, and then said his name. And that's the minute I found out my dad was murdered, that moment. And as I saw that, I'm just writing, my father has been murdered today in Jamaica. And then I put, the bastards have killed him. Then I put, I will sleep with one eye open, but I'm coming. Yeah.
Okay. So that's horrific for anybody to go through. And I can imagine many people wouldn't recover from that. You know, but you went ahead, you took the government on, and I believe you got justice as well.
Yeah, I won in court through the tribunal on all counts, and they paid me out. And literally that was the October 2014, and literally around that same time I was getting death threats, and the Jamaican government sent an official letter to the Foreign Office, which then they posted to me in the UK, and I received that on the 23rd of December 2014, and I knew that if I stepped foot in Jamaica, because I was told, this is the death threats, if I stepped foot in Jamaica they're going to send a gunman for me. And I knew that if I went over there, because they wanted me to come over on a technicality, that if I did not stand up in court and said that that was my dad that was murdered, that they would throw the case out. So of course I'm going to go over there. So I'd planned everything I planned my will, I said goodbye to my children, checked myself out of my life, and everyone was saying don't go, but I had to, it was my father.
Yeah.
So I actually made peace with myself to die, and luckily, literally a couple of weeks later, when the Christmas was over, I'd met with my local MP, Gavin Williamson, who at that time was David Cameron's parliamentary secretary, went on to be Theresa May's, then he became the Minister of Defence for the United Kingdom, and now is a Minister of Education. So he actually stepped in. He had a meeting first at the House of Commons for me, and then he chaired the meeting at the Foreign Office, and then within weeks, one of the murderers got 40 years to life without parole. So he saved my life.
So you go through the adversity, and despite the fact that you've got the perpetrator, you've got to be on a very, very low. You've got to be in a very dark place in your life. How do you get from there to the Zoe Bennett that we all know today?
Okay.
Because I would imagine many people at that point would just give up. Yeah, you've got the win, but that doesn't you know, it doesn't satisfy anything. And what it does to you as a person, as an individual. So how does Zoe Bennett from that point and that low get to the phenomenon, the international phenomenon that she is today?
Do you know when you check yourself out of life and you've made peace with it, and it might, unless you've been there, you're never going to get it. I'm at peace of not being here. My life is no longer my own in my head. Whatever I now do, I'm doing as a vehicle, and I genuinely believe that. Hence why there's nothing too big or too small for me to tackle. And I recognise that there's people out there, lots of people, that don't have that strength. And I am happy to be that strength for those people. And that's all it boils down to. That's why I do what I do.
So any of our viewers that are watching, that are struggling with their business, struggling getting the business off the ground, or they've got it off the ground and they're struggling within that business journey, based on your experiences, and not many people are as determined, and I can say that firsthand, but not many people have the grit that Zoe Bennett has. But what would your advice be to our viewers who are starting on their business journey, or who are into the business journey but actually finding it very difficult?
This is the greatest thing to remember, that everything we go through is an actual test. It's a personal test. So when you feel you're at that brick wall, and that brick wall is so high that you can't even scale it, jump it or whatever, you need to know that you've got that strength just to break through that wall. You have to believe that you can do anything, and you are capable of so much more than what you even thought you were capable of. And everything happens for a reason, but you've got to see and recognise it for what it is, and that's what it all boils down to. You just have to believe that you're here for a purpose, and you are going to fulfil that purpose. And that's exactly what you have to do. So just take control, take a step back, analyse it, and know you've got this.
Viewers, can I just remind you, you are watching the ZMC Business Hour. We have live in the studio the motivational queen, Zoe Bennett. You are welcome to call in with any questions. Zoe is an extremely experienced businesswoman, an extremely experienced motivational individual. And if you have any queries, any questions, any comments, please feel free to call in on the number below this, at the bottom of the screen. You can contact us via our social media channels. We are currently on Facebook Live, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website. Please do call in and please do ask some questions. So you've started, what was the first business you started, and what inspired that?
Okay, so I started Training Personified. This is really funny because I never ever even tell anyone that I actually run or am the MD of Training Personified, because I'm a people person and I believe people buy from people, and if they want to do business with you they will do. And for me, what I've done with Training Personified, I created it before the verdict was read that the murderer got 40 years to life, because I was not going to be a victim of what they wanted me to be. And I felt that I needed to do something to help other people. So it was actually initially created as a customer service company to show employers how to treat their staff and understand that customers are not just external, they are also internal, and that's why Training Personified started.
So how do you relate that? Why would you want to teach employers how to treat their staff? How does that relate to your specific experience?
Because my employers, you know, the Jamaica Tourist Board, they sacked me. Instead of embracing somebody who's going through such a tragic incident and supporting them, they never. Obviously, as the ruling has proven that, and it's in the public domain, so in fact people can see a lot more than what's happened, which was really intense what happened to me. And I just didn't want anyone to go through that, because you hear about it all the time. People do go through employment tribunals, but they don't know how to go through it properly. And actually, when I was going through it, this is the kicker, is that it's not actually about right and wrong. It's about reasonable. And if you can prove that you've done things reasonably, then you win. Even if it was right or wrong. It's so crazy, but if you don't understand that, you're never going to win an employment tribunal. And it's also about keeping your emotions in check. Because one thing my dad taught me was to put the passion into something and take the emotion out. So I stopped with this, woe is me, why is this going on to me? Instead, I turned it around and says, why not me? And I'm going to make sure I do it properly by being reserved, taking a step back, analysing it, and not rushing things and not reacting to it, but responding methodically. And that's how I won the case.
Can I just stop you there? We have a live caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Good, actually. Can I ask you for one favour? Yeah, listen, my internet is not working right now, so I wanted to just connect to your Wi-Fi.
I think we have a bit of a technical. I think we have a bit of a technical glitch.
Okay.
Right, if you want to continue. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So yes, so my dad taught me really an important lesson. I was saying to take put the passion in and take the emotion out, because when you're ranting and raving like a banshee, you're never going to get anywhere. And he always said this to me. He says, never interrupt anybody. And if you do, you're wrong, even though whatever you was about to interrupt them with was right. You'll always be wrong. Why? Because by interrupting somebody, you'll never know what it was they were about to give you. It could be an opportunity, it could be absolutely everything or anything. So I learnt to zip it, especially in these meetings, these tribunal meetings, everything leading up to it, and I listened to what they had to say before jumping in and preempting. And that's where a lot of us actually fall down when we actually are trying to have a two-way conversation. We don't listen enough. And if you listen, you actually secure more business. In fact, I've secured business, I've secured sponsorship, because I learned to listen to the indicators of what that person was saying and what they really want out of the deal. But if I just went in and said, well, this is what you're going to get, and that's not what they want, they're not going to pursue it any further. You always have to listen in order for you to get what you want to get from life.
Interesting. I've seen you speak on many stages, and I've mentioned this to you many times before, that when you get into your element, it's very hard to actually zone you down, and sometimes we actually have to chain you to the ground to stop you from taking off. That motivation, that inner strength, and I've seen this many times. Where does that come from?
Genuinely, when I start speaking, I actually feel like I'm floating. I feel like I'm above
You
myself.
look like you're floating. You look like you're floating.
It's because if I talk about something, it's something I believe in. So if I believe in something, it's coming from the heart. See, I don't use pieces of paper, I don't use scripts. Everything is from within. So if I'm going to say, I'm one of these people that I believe that you should always tell the truth. Always say it as it is, and the cold hard truth as well. But obviously you've got to make sure you're tactful with it. But if I say something, it means something. I'm not a time waster for myself or anyone else. So when I do say it, it's impactful, and it just makes me feel so impassioned by it, because what I do say, I'm always trying to show and share with people my experiences, because obviously I don't want people to go through anything close to what I've gone through. So if I can do anything to stop them from even making those strides that I ended up finding myself in, then I will do it. And that's why I feel so passionate, and that's why I talk so passionately.
So Training Personified kicks off, it does well. Then you go on to write a book.
Yes.
How did that come about? What's the book called?
So that's called Networking Personified.
Networking? What does that mean?
So networking is about, for you, Mr. Avid Card, all about what you do, networking, and it's about business relationship building. And it's not just businesses, because it can literally transcend into anything in life. It's about just understanding people and how to get the best out of them.
How important is networking? And actually, I'd be interested to hear your definition of networking, being an author on the subject.
It's important for me, so I'm going to tell you why first I wrote it. Everyone keeps asking me to write the book on my life. And for me, it's important not to write the book first, but to write what got me to the book and what got me to get through the end. So people was what got me through. My dad as a person got me through. You know, good people like you in my life gets me through. And I've got to let people understand the people side first before they hear the story, because had I have not found good people along my journey, I wouldn't be on this side, such as Gavin Williamson, for instance. I wouldn't be here, you know. So I have to pay homage to good people. Networking is king. So I was actually networking before I even knew what networking was, and my dad was the biggest networker out there. So for me, it was evident that he managed to get things done for other people that other people couldn't get done, just by his network, and by not just.
So would it be fair to say that all of us, from even when we go to school, we are networking, but we just don't recognize it,
yep.
or acknowledge it, or understand what it is?
Completely. So that's why it's really important, and we should be teaching our children. If we taught our children how to network effectively, a lot of issues negatively that they find themselves in, they wouldn't find themselves there.
Yes.
You know, just understand people, treat people the way you would like to be treated is a really simple thing to do.
But there's also this notion about networking that people feel that they're beyond it, or they're above it, or they feel that they lack the confidence to go and meet people, or I was one of them myself, you know, petrified to speak to people, may say the wrong thing, and there's an element of embarrassment, there's an element of ego. What would you say to them people?
First I say, get my book and you'd be over it. However, I would say it's because they don't understand the power of networking. That's all it is. It's nothing wrong with them, they just haven't felt the benefits yet. And the thing is one thing, networking.
What's been your biggest benefit from networking? If you could pick out one single benefit from your networking.
Gosh, there's so many.
And for those who follow Zoe Bennett's social media will know she's out most days of the week. She's out nearly every night, at some event, at some function. And it's all about networking. It's all about connecting with people, meeting people, learning from people, and sharing with people. So Zoe Bennett's networking journey, what would be the one key thing, or the thing that stands out for you that you thought, wow, you know, this is the way forward?
One of them was, for me, because it's all about giving back, was I met somebody who needed some confidence building for their organisation, for women from domestic violence, honour-based abuse and FGM, and through networking I met that person and I was able to help them. So it's about helping.
Yes.
Personally.
Yes, it's not always about selling, is it? It's about sharing.
No, not a buy my stuff thing. That's what.
Yes.
Do not do that. Once you do the buy my stuff thing, it switches people off.
Okay, so you've got the business, you've got the book. You're now, and I think the book came out about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's when I first got acquainted to you, and I've personally witnessed your journey. Then you find, or you start the MBCC Awards. What's that all about?
It's just about, do you know something, having a
What does the
pure-
MBCC Awards
Well,
mean?
it's what it means is more than what the words in says. It's the Midlands Business and Community Charity Awards, but it's more about having a pure, transparent platform that people can be recognised and awarded, and also be proud of having that recognition. So we're not about having someone who's sponsoring winning an award. We're not about not having any transparency. So we have two separate accountant firms that handles all the money.
But don't you feel that there's many awarding bodies out there, many award events out there? What sets you apart? What makes you
The
different?
transparency. And
Also,
yeah.
what was the core reason of that?
The core reason was to say thank you to Gavin Williamson, and I couldn't think, because I go hard or go home. That's the kind of person I am. I wanted to say thank you to Gavin, and I didn't want to do it with a box of chocolates or a bottle of whiskey. I thought, well, how can I do it? Let me create an award ceremony and actually give him an award that's befitting of him. And I thought, well, while I'm doing this, let me actually allow other people to award those amazing people who are selflessly doing things out there, and that's how it came about.
And I think that's the point that I was trying to get to. I've been involved from day dot, and my observation of the MBCC Awards is that you have given exposure and brought to the forefront the very valuable individuals who are working away tirelessly within the community that sometimes don't always get the recognition and don't get the exposure that they maybe deserve or need. And my observation has been that the MBCC Awards does just that. So was that the thinking behind it? Because I feel it does. I feel it was.
It ticks the box even more than what I even thought, because
Yes.
it gives us so much visibility, it gives so much support. The stories that come out now of people being affiliated with the MBCC Awards have gone on to win Queen's Awards, with the MBEs, you know, it's just amazing. And even sponsorship and support from other individuals, collaborations, it goes on, and it's actually surpassed where my head was at with it, because it was only meant to be a 1 year thank you, you know, but it's gone on now. This now will be coming up to the 5th year now. It's crazy.
So viewers, can I just remind you, we are live in conversation with Zoe Bennett. You are welcome to call in, answer questions, answer queries. We are transmitting on all social media platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Please call in. So Zoe, the last 2 years, if I just refine the last 2 years, because I've seen you for 4 or 5 years now, but in the last 2 years you seem to have just absolutely soared. What brought about that change? Because I know you're doing some work now with the job centres.
Yeah.
Putting unemployed people, giving them the skills to go back into employment. I know you're doing work with the prison service, trying to rehabilitate offenders and trying to change their mindset and give them some skills to get them back into employment. And this has all come about in the past, I would say, 18 months, 2 years. How's that been, and what's...
Gosh, that's journey. So the actual
is it something you planned, or is it something that just happened?
I mean, nothing I do I plan. It just happened. Everything. I am floating along what this thing is called life, you know.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to make a difference, as you know, and I wrote a program for the mental health and hard to reach to get back into work. So, and I
just before we continue, you mentioned mental health. How important is it for the BEM community, predominantly our viewers? How important is it for us to recognise mental health?
It's
I know it's a totally separate issue and
it's
topic,
exceptionally important, because mental health can change people's lives and take them into different directions, and especially if someone isn't there to understand and support them, and they think it's something personal to them, and it's about making them understand actually this can happen to many other people. When people feel not alone, when people feel understood, their mental health actually it gets a lot better. But when they feel backed into a corner, that's where the problems lie.
And from your experiences and the people you meet daily, how open do you feel the BEM community is about mental health, and how forthcoming are they to ask for help?
I have to say it's been a taboo subject for a very long time, especially with the BEM community. I have to say with the DWP contracts that I've had, which I've had 8 up until now, I would have to say BEM in there, I've had 3.
Wow.
And I've had over 100 attendees in these contracts. Yeah.
Wow. And we
In fact,
know,
more than that.
and we know it's a massive issue.
Yeah.
We know it's a growing issue. So I just wanted to touch on that a bit. So back to your
So I wrote the program, and it just literally got picked up on the DWP system, and they really wanted it. So they just, after they booked one, they just kept booking another after another, and it's a 6-session program where we take them through understanding who they are, understanding what their passion is, and actually getting the best out of them. But the difference is, what I do, I don't just give them a short, sharp a little moment just of what they need for that minute. I teach them how to self-coach themselves. So when at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, whatever time it is, or if they're in an obscure place and they need some support, they know how to actually tap in to the tools and the skills that I've taught them to actually to self-coach themselves and get themselves to where they need to get to. And as a mental health first aider also, it's important for me to make sure they understand how to do that.
So what are your future aspirations? You've achieved so much so far. You've done so much. What are your future aspirations?
It's just to create a world that actually helps and support other people. Learn how to look at life as collaboration and not competition. And this year, there's so much going on, I have to say, but there will be a collaboration coming to the end of this year that's going to flip the BAME community on its head. That's never been seen before.
And being a member of the BAME community yourself, what challenges have you faced?
Oh, so many.
What challenges have you faced? Because our viewers, again, it'd be very interesting. Being BAME, being in the professional world, people talk about challenges daily. Somebody as outspoken as yourself, intimidating sometimes. What challenges does Zoe Bennett face?
Do you know the challenges I
And
get
who dares
faced?
challenge Zoe
That's
Bennett?
the thing. These are challenges in other people's eyes. To me, I find it kind of funny because it just rolls off my back like water. A lot of people keep saying to me, "Oh, you do realise that you're black." Because I network with a lot of different diverse ethnics. I network with white people, lots of Asian people. For me, I see everyone as one, and I don't see it as a problem.
Just on that topic, I read somewhere, no, actually, I watched one of your interviews where you actually thought up until a certain age that you were Pakistani.
I did. Can you imagine?
So,
can you
please
right,
elaborate
okay,
that?
I need to clarify this. So growing up, I was always called P ending in I,
Yes.
all the time. I was always called that by ignorant, obviously, different, not our background, from white people, etc., who just hadn't got a clue. So, because you've been called it so many times and you did it as a child, you don't know what that is, I just thought I was a P ending with an I.
Yes.
Genuinely.
A Pakistani.
Yeah. There you
Okay.
go.
And then, how do you get over that?
How do you get over that?
What do you
Actually,
learn
now
about
when
yourself?
looking back, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious because people are like, really? And it's really bizarre. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. It's only words and it's sticks and stones. And far too many people.
Yeah, but
really
you have to
retaliate.
have a very thick skin to deal with that. And it's obvious that you've grown your skin and you've developed yourself to become that strong. How do you do that though?
Why? Well,
How do you do that?
Easy. When you've lost your heartbeat, your everything, nothing else matters. Words can just bounce off me like I feel genuinely like I have an invisible shield around me. I genuinely feel like that. That's why I have no qualms about saying my truth and saying what I've got to say, because who's going to throw me in jail for saying my truth? And if they do, what's that? I'm still alive. And if I'm not, I wouldn't know because I'd be dead. So there you go. So for me, words are nothing. Absolutely nothing. For my dad going through the sustained torture that he did with a machete and a knife, etc., words can't touch me, knowing that.
You've also been referred to as a humanitarian.
Mm-hmm.
What humanitarian missions have you done?
So it's all around the NBCCs, all the thousands of pounds that I've actually helped with many organisations, helped with the aid, with the cause, etc. And that's what I've done. And in fact, even before that, even before I did the NBCCs, with my dad, I used to do lots of humanitarian missions with my dad for the ethnic community.
Brilliant. And it'd be wrong if I didn't ask you, but this week has been a bit of a landmark for the UK. What is your opinion?
I don't talk about politics.
We're not a political show, but being a business owner, this is going to affect you and most businesses. So what's your words on Brexit?
The thing is, it's happened. You just got to literally roll up your sleeves and get on with it and do what you can do to make sure that you sustain and you actually soar through this uncertain time. And don't let other people's opinions and other people's negativity about Brexit intertwine into your business. Create contingencies. Always make sure you have a backup plan for whatever situation happens. Things are just naturally going to happen. Have a backup plan. That's all I can say to you.
Interesting. So, your final 3 tips to the viewers.
Believe in yourself. Own your truth. And just be kind and collaborate where possible.
Nice and simple. You can tell you can tell she's well trained. You can tell she's well spoken. You can tell she's had many interviews. But Zoe, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. A bit different today. Our setting very different to what we normally do, but it's been fun. Viewers, thank you very much for watching. Please stay tuned to our channel. We have shows running throughout the week. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. We shall be back next week with another prominent guest and some business news. Until then, be good, be safe, and have a great week.